Good morning, everybody. This is George Cole with National Credit Educational Services, and I want to start this presentation off by wishing everybody very well, again, a great Happy New Year. And I know that credit is so important to so many people. And what we want to do here today at NCES is help to restore America, help to restore credit, help to bring people back the way that they need to be brought back. You know, life isn't fair unless you have good credit. If you have good credit, there's so many things that you can have and do within your life. There's so many ways that you can begin to start balancing, leveraging your credit to build wealth, to build assets and not liabilities. Today we're going to discuss the differences between liability and also asset wealth. We're going to talk about every aspect of credit, and we'll be on for about 50 minutes, and it's my privilege and pleasure to begin to talk to you about what it is here that we have to present. The first thing is, you know, in order to have good credit, you know, you would like to travel. Either you make a lot of money with bad credit, or you live an average life, and if you have bad credit, there's no travel. You want to get married. You don't want to get married with bad credit. I mean, it's putting your family in a bad economic situation, creates additional stresses. Hey, but love is love. We can make it work. We'll work it together. But why not make it work where we're both winning, where we're both being able to excel financially, so that we can prepare, you know, a great household and a great financial dynasty for one another. It takes good credit to buy a house, to start a family, to, you know, bring children into the world, to buy a car. The laptop represents to start a business. And of course, the cruise ship is all about training. I have to switch the slide on this side so you guys can see it live. The next thing is introducing NCES's mission. The mission is all about, you know, helping people in America, helping to create a new paradigm, a new understanding about credit, helping people to understand the pitfalls and the traps of credit. Also, you know, we just talked about that. And then common misconceptions. People believe that the three major credit reporting agencies, there's nothing you can do with them. That's not true. That's a farce. We also want to talk about the personal credit, budgeting, and moving forward. We're going to have our conclusions and a question and answer statement. Next, our mission is to educate. Our mission is to educate the masses on the pitfalls of credit. We want to help people to learn how to leverage credit, to build assets and not liabilities like we first spoke about. We want to help people to empower and navigate their finances confidently. You know, in order to make your money, you need to know how your money's being spent. You need to know what avenues your money's going to. You need to know where you're overpaying at and where you can significantly save for the same basic essentials of life. The next thing is our goal is to restore America by restoring you. You saw Clint Eastwood in that great commercial in the Super Bowl. If you didn't, Google the Super Bowl commercial with Clint Eastwood. It talks about this is the halftime of our game, you know, and the thing about it is how are we going to play the other half? You know, whether we're losing in the first half, that's not relevant. What's relevant is how do we get together and play this second half? Are we playing the second half to win? Have we made enough mistakes? Do we realize where we fumbled the ball? Do we realize where we didn't call the correct plays? Or where we didn't execute the correct plays? Or we wasn't watching and we just assumed that we could still win if we didn't practice? Well, now we know it takes all of that to create a winning hand. But you can practice all you want to. But if you don't know how to execute, you don't know the rules to the game, you're bound to lose. So what we want to do now is expose those rules to the game so that we give people a winning hand. We get people committed to understanding how easy this is, to be able to navigate your finances, to be able to build a wealth second to none, to help people to understand all that they need to do to become great. It's not hard to become great in America. What's hard is America don't tell us sometimes how to become great financially. And so therefore, if you're in a rut and you're in a situation, America greed makes a lot of money off of people with bad credit. And the credit reporting agencies help them do that. There's a thing that's called the Fair Credit Reporting Act. The Fair Credit Reporting Act is designed to basically was passed through Congress and was designed with the intentions to regulate the credit reporting agencies and to promote accuracy of the information to consumers' credit reports. So therefore, if you're going to put something on my credit report, the information must be accurate. The information must be true. You must have properly validated this information, researched it, checked balances. Fair Credit Reporting Act has approximately 20 subsections, 20 laws to it, and subsections. Under those 20 laws, they have about 99 subsections. So therefore, there's a lot of things that the credit reporting agencies must do before they enter information on your credit report. And what we have to clearly understand is that the three major credit reporting agencies are privately owned, and they are in business to make money. There's no law that says that they have to report credit on me. You're a third party. I signed a contract with Bank of America, not with you. So if you're going to report my information, it must be accurate. And that's what we're fighting. The next thing is I want to discuss who the three major credit reporting agencies are. They're Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. These are the three major credit reporting agencies. Their job is to collect and maintain information about consumers' credit history. This information is obtained from banks, credit card companies, and various financial institutions. The credit reporting agencies basically sell this information to lenders. That's how people find us. We can live in $1 million community, but if we have a 500 credit score, we're going to get credit card opportunities from secured credit card companies. We're not going to get it from, the American Express just because we live in this zip code. That's not what it's about. So the credit reporting agencies collect, gather, maintain information about consumers' credit history, and then they put it all together, compile it. FICO comes in and creates a score off the information, and then everybody sells it to all the lenders. These credit reporting agencies will put anything on your credit report that anybody pays them to do. The credit reporting agencies are not a part of the government. So many people call them bureaus. That's what they want you to do. They want you to create this intimidating name so that basically you can feel that there's nothing you can do. That's a bureau. Well, the bureaus I know is the FBI, CIA. Credit reporting companies are companies. They're like JCPenney's, Sears, Nordstrom's. They're in business to make money. They sell and gather information about consumers' credit history. But it has to be accurate. The next thing is I want to talk about is the common credit errors. There's a lot of errors. There's information that cannot be verified, erroneous information that has been entered into the consumer's credit report. This information can be human error, data information not being put in correctly, reasonable procedures were not followed. Just so many different things that could mislead other people's identity and commingle other people's identity to create errors on a credit report. There's also obsolete information that's being kept on the credit report beyond industry standards. Industry standards is 7 years from the real date of last activity. After that, that information is supposed to be removed. Is it? Probably not. Nearly 80% of all consumers' credit reports have significant errors. These errors can affect a credit score by 25%, which is enough to potentially result in credit denial. These errors affect scores by 50 points or more. These errors occur because the data entry being inputted incorrectly, inputted to the wrong account, putting in the wrong balances, not updating balances, name consistency, people, putting in different alias names, or they're typing in alias names, which is picking up other people's identities, which is commingling other people's credit reports, and human errors. When people are doing applications, there's a lot of human errors that'll be done just in the application process alone. The next thing is, what are credit scores? Okay, credit scores is FICO. FICO is Fair Isaac Corporation. It is a statistical methodology to evaluate an individual's credit worthiness. It is a reflection of a person's behavior, credit behavior, their character, your financial state. FICO, the FICO scores determine an individual's interest rate and their ability to borrow. The scores range from 300 to 850. FICO is also a privately owned company that is also in business to make money. And none of these companies really and truly are really operating within the benefits of the consumer. So what we have to do is to understand that we're kind of on our own when it comes down to protecting our credit. Now, here's the composition, the credit composition, the breakdown on how your credit is looked at and how they judge you on a score. Paid as agreed. That means that you have paid your credit card account, your auto loan, whatever it may be, but you have paid it within the 30 days and you weren't 30 days late. Or you may have been paid it, your payment was due February the 14th, but you paid the next payment. You didn't pay it on February the 14th. You paid it on February the 12th, or March the 12th. Well, that's not 30 days late. You saved yourself, not that we want you to pay it 28, 29 days late, but you're not 30 days late. It will not report on your credit report. Now, you might take a penalty with the creditor with additional penalty fees, late fees, but you will not be penalized on your credit report. So protect yourself at all costs that you're not 30 days late. Because if you get a 30-day late, it affects your score by 35%. That's why when somebody gets a late payment that hits their credit card, it changes their scores from 750 to 670 to 680. It drops it significantly. So how about if we do credit restoration and reverse that account and get it to show back more accurately as paid as agreed, never late? Then that's going to add the points back up onto your credit score and create a higher credit score. It's better than deleting it. See, because now you're able to keep your history and keep your status. The next factor that weighs very heavily is your balances. Your balances versus your credit limit. Your credit cards is the best way to start reestablishing credit. It is huge. The reason why it's so big is because, remember, FICO is there to protect the lenders from all risks. And the reason why it's big is because if you have a $500 credit card, you got it, your balance is $490, $450. What is FICO going to tell the lenders about you? They're going to say this person doesn't budget, this person has no savings account, they don't make enough money on their job, because all this behavior shows that they don't, and that's why their balances are so high, because they live off their credit card to substantiate their lifestyle, to pay for gas, to pay for groceries, to pay for going out to eat, to do all these different things, because they're burning up their check before the 14 days, every 2 weeks, and on the 9th day, they need 5 more days of relief to make it, so they're using their credit and extending their balances. Therefore, this person is a potential risk. Beware, we're going to drop the credit score by 30%. Well, wonder if you keep a low credit card balance and your balance is only 10%. Therefore, they're going to give you 30% extra to your score, which will help increase. So when you go to start reestablishing credit, you want to get a credit card, you want to pay on time, you want to keep low balances, because those two factors alone is 65% of your credit score. Next, length of credit is 15% of your credit score. How long have you had it? So you just start. You start rebuilding your credit. You hire National Credit Educational Services to start working on your credit. So now we start removing some of the collections and public record. We try to reverse some accounts. Then you're establishing new credit. And so this is the first month, second month, third month, fourth month, fifth month. The longer the history that you start creating new credit, the higher your score goes. The longer the history, the longer paid as agreed, the longer low balances. What this does now, it adds additional 15% on your credit score. Where a lot of people make mistakes at is that they begin to start establishing credit. And when they start establishing credit, what happens is that basically they'll use a secure credit card for 12 months to establish credit, okay? And then what they'll do is Chase or a better credit card will come along and offer them a $1,500 balance. They'll close the credit card that got them there and start back over with a 30-day worth of history because they don't know. Well, you just lost 15% of your score. You just lost your history, and it was brand new history. And it was the only history that you had that was new, and you stopped it after 12 months. A lot of times for people to buy houses and do things, a lot of times people want to see 24 months worth of history, of good history. So it's very important that you maintain long history. The other two components, compositions of your credit score is 10% of it is the types of credit. So you want to have a variety of credit. You know, you go to the grocery store, you see sometimes people open their wallet and 16 department store credit cards will drop down. That's too much. It's too much heavy on retail, on credit cards or retail. So you want to have a good variety: auto loan, educational loan, you know, a mortgage, a second mortgage, maybe a lease, maybe a personal loan, and maybe 2 or 3 credit cards. That's a variety. And the last thing is you have to be careful of your inquiries. Inquiries hurt your credit score by 10%. Inquiries hurt so much because lenders don't know who has given you credit. And so therefore, since they don't know who's giving you credit, they're going to penalize you. FICO is. Remember, FICO and the credit reporting agencies are there to protect the lenders from all risk. So to begin to start establishing credit, what you want to do is to apply for a secure credit card, maintain a low balance on your credit card, establish long history, create an errorless payment history, no late payments, reestablish your student loans through deferment, call them, let them know either defer that you're still in school or you're going back to school, defer it, or set up a $50 minimum payment per month and get back on a rehabilitation program to where now that you start reestablishing history and you're getting your game back on. And then also obtain a small auto loan. Not a big auto loan, a small auto loan. Try to reestablish credit. You're not trying to, get in horrific debt. Just reestablish credit. Next is, one of the best ways to reestablish your credit, as we talked about, is through secure credit cards. Now, Fingerhut is not reportable credit. Happy Hippo computer is not reportable credit. You want to get credit from an established company who reports to all 3 credit reports, like one of these companies, First Premier, Orchard Bank, Applied Bank, or even through your local bank. Get secure credit. Bank of America does it. So that's what the kind of things that we need to start doing to get ourselves reestablished. The next thing is, as you're reestablishing your credit, what are some of the pitfalls and mistakes and errors that can happen in reestablishing your credit? Number one, you get a secure credit card. You pay $300. When they send you the card, they took out $60 for fees. You got $240 worth of available credit left. So now what happens is that you got $240 worth of credit. You get it on Friday. You go out on Friday. You go out on Saturday. On Monday morning, you only got $20 worth of credit left. Your balance now is at $280. Your payment is due on February the 13th. Well, you got Valentine's Day the next day. I can't pay you that $10 or $5 or whatever the minimum they're asking for. I'm just not going to do it. I just need to save all this money for me and my goal so that we can be able to go out and have our fun. So next, when you didn't pay these people on on February the 13th, then they're going to access a $35 late fee. That $35 on the $280 is $315. Your balance was $300, so that means you went over the limit. So now there's an over limit fee of $40. So now you owe $355. Well, the next month comes March 13th. They say you owe us another $10. You don't pay them. Why? Because you couldn't use the card the whole month. Every time you went to go get gas, it says see cashier. You go to the attendant to a store and they swipe it, it showed decline. You're like, man, I knew I shouldn't have did this. this thing don't work. It does work. We just didn't work it. So the next thing that happens to further the pitfalls of bad credit is then the credit card gets charged off. Once the credit card gets charged off, it gets assigned to a collection agency. See, so now the original creditor has charged it off. When they charge it off, they've been adding these fees for about 6, 7 months. Interest, penalties, late fees, not, paying it, when you were supposed to. So you're almost getting almost $100 a month added onto this card. So when they're done, they are basically at $1,100, $1,200 that they charged it off. The credit card company never lost a cent because you paid them $300 to secure the card. But they're telling the IRS that we lost $1,200. So that means they made money by keeping more of their profits because they're showing their losses. They also made money by telling the insurance companies that we made losses. So they get money back from there. Then now they kick it over to a collection agency. Then the collection agency begins to collect. And then the collection agency could be asking for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 because they said that they're adding on penalties, late fees, but it's not their account. How can you add on penalties and late fees on something that's not yours? You're a third-party collector. And so now what happens when it gets signed to the collection agency, as we said, the collection agency has new derogatory interest, penalties, and more fees. Then the next stop is if you don't answer that phone and deal with them or know how to deal with them, then what happens is that information is going to head to court. Now remember that the collection agencies are also privately owned, and they're also governed by the Federal Trade Commission, just like the credit restoration companies, the credit reporting agencies, FICO, all of them are governed by the FTC. They have to operate under the guidelines. Collection agencies have to operate under the guidelines of the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. The Fair Debt Collections Practices Act is created to protect consumers from unfair debt practices on how people can collect debt legally. There's statute of limitations on debt. But if you don't know what you're doing, collection agency will renew a debt and create a brand new, another 7-year sentence, financial jail sentence on you if you don't know what you do, if you don't know what to do. What they'll do is, they'll send you letters to tell you to appear in court, that there's a summons, but they don't give you a court date. So you got to take the initiative to call a court to find out when the date so that you can show up. But then you also got to respond, as they say, within 30 days. But you have to respond with a validation letter that we have as a part of our service. That you send the validation letter out certified. We do all the credit restoration, but you send out the certification letter certified to prove that they got it. And then when they received it, what happens is they have to provide all the documental proof that they can legally collect on this debt. And a lot of times they can't do it. Next. Now we want to talk about liability credit. There's asset credit and there's liability credit. This is liability credit. Now what happens is you make $4,000 a month. That's pretty good cash. Got a good job. And so the man tells you that you can drive the Benz, the Hummer, or the BMW for $900, $950 a month. We're like, wow. So that means I have $3,000 almost, or $3,000 left a month. I can afford that. No, you can't. Because all you're doing is looking at that one payment. There's several payments to maintain that vehicle. One, you have bad credit. So you're going to pay a significant amount more for what? Car insurance. So your car insurance could be $350 to $450 per month. Then the car has 86,000 miles on it, so therefore it's out of warranty. And you got to consider that what it costs to maintain that car. So it's $3,600 annually. So that's $300 a month. You got to put that towards your monthly fees. Then that car takes premium gas. So now it's going to cost you $800 a month to drive that car. Your total cost to drive that car monthly is between $2,400 to $2,500 a month. But all we looked at was that the monthly payment was $950. No, it's not. It's anywhere between $2,400 to $2,500 a month. I ain't even counting that how many times you're going to be keeping that car clean. I didn't count in when you go to upgrade the rims. I didn't count in when you're going to put the TV screen in the back seat, and all the accessories that we're going to keep on plunging money into a liability. Okay, so now the car cost $24,000 when you bought it, but at the end of 72 months, with everything, you end up paying $172,800 for this car. That's what you paid for it. Almost $200,000 you paid for the car. And so now, what you could have done was you could have leveraged your credit to build an asset. You could have bought a house that sold for almost $1 million, back in 2004. But now with the market, you can pick it up for $380. Your payment would have only been $2,300, but you're paying $2,400 to $2,500 for the car, so you can't afford the house now because you lost the opportunity of getting the house because you leveraged yourself negatively to build bad debt instead of building good debt. And so therefore, now you can't qualify for the house. 6 years later, if you would have saved your money to qualify for the house, look how much you could have been able to earn in personal assets to be able to make additional money. Well, that Hummer 6 years later is now worth $4,000. So you would have lost $168,800. If you would have bought the house and the economy recovers, the housing prices come back, and you got a 15-year loan, and if you'd have split the payment, you'd have paid this house off in 11 years, you would have created a net gain of $620,000. But nope, we missed out because we leveraged our credit improperly. The next thing is important is to begin to start budgeting. Begin to start writing down what it is that you earn. The more that you can understand your money, the better you can save it, and the slower that you'll spend it. When you have whatever your rent is, write it down, $1,400. Your two car payments, $700. Your insurance, your groceries, your gasoline, maintenance, dry cleaning, cell phone bills, cable bills, other utilities, electric, credit cards, and entertainment. That covers your whole life. If you write it down, you can see what you got going. Then you take home $6,000 per month. Out of that, your critical expenses is $5,400 per month. Your take home would be you would be remaining on a monthly basis with $600. With $600, if you save that $600 per month, because when you look at it, your take home was $6,000. You got $600. You got $5,400 of expenses. You're saving $600 per month. $600 compounded over 72 months will come out to $60,000. Now, what you also got to look at, how many raises you're going to get during the period of, how many raises are you going to get during that period? A lot. But you're still budgeting as if you still make that much money. So now, here's how everything works. Our services, we talked about the FICO scoring system. We talked about the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act. We talked about how do you protect your credit during hardship, how to regain your financial independence. We have an online educational tools that shows you your information, that shows you the negative information on your credit report. We show you the credit scores. We show you that this information is in progress, it's being challenged. When you get your credit reports back in 4 to 6 weeks, we ask that you forward those credit reports back to us so that we can update your back office, show you what's been deleted, what shows paid as agreed, and then so we can go and start cycle 2. We go through cycle 1 is the initial cycle. When you get your credit reports back, and then we go fight them again at cycle 2. When you get those credit reports back, send them back to us, and we go after whatever is remaining in that cycle 3. And that concludes our service. Now, when we look at the conclusion of our services, we basically help you to understand everything there is to know about the keys of achieving financial security. It is important to correct your current situation and establish a path moving forward. NCS gives you the tools and the resources to establish a new financial future. Okay? And what we want to do here today is to show you how prominent and how important it is to be able to get your credit corrected, we help you with reestablishing and educating you on how to deal with everything that you have to deal with and to restore your credit for one price of $349. That's incredible. We are surgeons on credit. We are architects that build new cities. We are surgeons that only remove what we have to and leave everything else to function properly. There's other good things in there that helps to make the whole financial body work. If you remove too much, then you're taking too many other things out that is key to the financial prosperity to the body. And so what we do is that you have to be able to help. You know, when people up here talking about, I'm going to fix your credit, well, you got to see signs on the side of the road, I'm going to repair your credit. Well, how are you going to go about repairing my credit? Let me ask you a couple questions. What's my credit score going to be when you're done? And if they have not looked at your credit report and they say, oh, your credit score is going to be 700, you should not walk away from them. You should run, because they don't know what they're talking about. How can they judge you on something if they didn't look at your information? That's impossible. So what you have to fully understand is that this credit is so key to have the right surgeon to be able to do the work, who understands it, who gets it, who likes to do it, who wants to do it. And then we're doing it at a very, very low price. Why? Because we want to help restore America, to help restore the American financial situation, to help bring America back, to help them to be able to win again. Like Clint Eastwood was talking about. How are we going to win again? It takes all of us. So we can get jobs, but we can't buy the house. He's talking about Chrysler, the plants. Well, there's a Ford plant. There's also a GM plant, too, in Detroit and Flint and all these different places. But you got guys who've gone back to work who can't even buy their own product because of bad credit. So what we have to do is to clearly understand the magnitude of what it is that we do and the powerfulness of how we're able to implement work that is unbelievable. National Credit Educational Services is here to deliver the best product that the industry has ever saw before in their life, to help restore credit like credit is never seen before, to help restore a nation, to put people back in the houses, to give people the financial education they need to become prosperous, to help high school students to be able to understand what it is that they need to do, to be able to raise their game so when they go out and they say, man, I'm not working at Walmart, I'm going to sell drugs. I'm not going to be working at McDonald's, I'm going to sell drugs. But if I can show you how you can work at Walmart or work at McDonald's and then turn around and go buy a $50,000 house 2 years later with a payment of $300 a month, and you bought a house that was $50,000 that previously sold for $160,000, then to show you how to pay that house off in 9 to 11 years, then to show you how you can be rich to where you can cash out of that house for about $130,000 at age 28 years old, where you're going to go open up your own barbershop, your own restaurant, because you got the skills, you got the managerial skills. The reason why people create this conflict and make bad decisions because there's no financial path. And that's what National Credit Educational Services make happen for you. Thank you very much. Go to our website, get started at www.emgtoday.com. E as in equity, M as in marketing, G as in group, today.com. That's who we are. That's what we're about. And we will deliver you, I promise you, the best educational services in the land. We believe that 10% of what we do is about credit repair. 90% of what we do is about the mind and educating the mind so that people can move forward in a greater financial future. Thank you very much and goodbye.